welcome back to Crew Call with the Scooters. And today we have a very special guest, which I know I say all the time, but I really mean it this time. I won't tell you the other times I didn't mean it, but we have Rocky with us from the Borstal Boys, which is a band that we love, and also the creator of the SOS Pittsburgh Concert Series Season 2 interview series. But you had a Season 1 and a Season 2. There's been a lot going on with you, Rocky. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being on the show.
Absolutely. I think it was at the beginning of COVID. I saw you back in your studio downstairs and I was like, you need to have a radio show because Rocky can interview anybody and get all of the information out of him. And you started this show. I want to talk about the show first.
Okay.
And talk about why it was important and what you guys are doing with the show, but also why is it important to bring that community together?
Well, the series is because of the song that we put out that Eric Roger wrote and we did over at the Vault. And so I was approached by Todd from 10 Band Productions, and he said, why don't we do a concert with all the bands that were involved in the song? So, and he had in mind piano or in stuff music. It's not pianos and stuff anymore. It's in stuff music. So he had in stuff music on board. So we went over and talked with Bob and Justin over there. And we set it all up and we did a whole first season. It was 3 bands each episode. There was 4 episodes total. And it went over really well. I think we raised some money and everything we do is actually to raise awareness for NEVA and things like that. NEVA and the SOS campaign to get money into bars or clubs that have bands and people that work in the music industry and stuff like that. So all that money goes to that. So it's a good cause. So that's why we did it. So that's why we started the concert series. But the second season is going to be a little bit different because it was bands that were on the recording was the first season. The second season is going to be more, I'm having a blues night, a jazz night, a singer-songwriter night, and then I'm having a metal night that has 3 bands on it. But the first 3 weeks are more of a collaboration of musicians from Pittsburgh. So a lot of the jazz community, a lot of the blues community, and I have 8 singer-songwriters on the show as well. But it's just kind of cool to get all these guys together in the blues community and jazz community like that that want to help us out as well. So.
It's fantastic. Well, we got to shoot down MCG with Marty. And when did we do that? December?
Yeah, October actually. October. Yeah.
And what a blast! That venue is fantastic. But what they're doing down at MCG is just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, he opened that up in March. And then it closed down right away. So he only held like 4 or 5 shows, I believe, in March. And he worked on it for a year beforehand. He finally got it all working and up and ready to go. And then COVID hit. So it's kind of his first thing back. And I know he's booking some other things there, but it's more to say on the same lines as what we're doing. Not really a show for people to come to, but more of a band trying to put on a live stream event. So.
Right. How's it been for the bands out there? I mean, we know how it has been, but not being a part of a band.
Yeah.
I am. I don't know. Speak for yourself.
Well, I mean, I miss going out to see shows. I still go out every once in a while. My band actually plays, and we played kind of almost through it. Not at the beginning of it, but in the summertime, we did some outdoor festivals and things like that. And then I think later in the fall, when people started opening up halfway, we've been playing probably a handful, 4 or 5 clubs that still have bands. And they do it social distance. You know, you got to come in with a mask on, everybody, so you can't go up to the bar, all the rules or whatever. But we've been playing probably once a month or something. I would say once, 2 times every 6 weeks, maybe something like that. But we've been going out. Some people have been coming out. It's not the same. I mean, people can't get up and dance and, you know, those kinds of things, or, you know, have fun or whatever like that, but have fun. But you can still go out and enjoy music, you know. I mean, there are places that are still having bands. We've been playing Jurgles. Jurgles has been was a big thing for us. And actually this summer, starting this spring, we're going to be doing the bike nights out of Jurgles. The first bike night of every month will be on. So, and we got some other shows booked. But I mean, I've used it, as you know. I worked with Bob for a while. We recorded another whole album. So the Borstal Boys have 2 albums that we want to release this year. Bob already started mixing the first one, but we recorded 2 whole albums already, and we just got to mix. And so I'm not really sure of I know we're releasing a song in like 6 weeks or something like that. It's called Walking Away. It was a collaboration. We actually brought Gallo in, who's a local rapper, and he's on that song. So that'll be released real soon. I know that, but we have 2 whole albums. And so at least me, I took the time to actually work on things like that. Like, we recorded, we've been writing songs, we've been rehearsing. We never stop rehearsing. We get together once a week and we rehearse and write songs and things like that. But
now, when the Borstal Boys came out, it was noted that it was a super group of Pittsburgh. Can you talk to me about who's in Borstal Boys and the music?
Well, I don't even know how that started, but
I guess Mervis, wasn't it? I thought it was Mervis.
Yeah, I think Mervis said it because Patrick Norman was in the band when the first version of the Borstal Boys, which is only 2 versions. Basically, it's the same band without Patrick Norman. Joe Pileski played in the Our City House Rockers, or Joe Grishecki, however you want to say that. Not the old House Rockers, but he played with Joe for over 20 years. So he was around for all that stuff, played with Springsteen and things like that. So you had Joe from the House Rockers, and you had Patrick, who was in Rusted Roots, and just me, Vinny, and Scott were just from Torn and Frayed and various bands around town, Dirty Charms and things like that. So the super group was probably more of Joe Pileski and Patrick Norman, I think, is why we got tagged the super group.
Right.
How long have you guys been playing together?
Yeah.
I was just looking, I just had a Facebook, you know, those things where they bring up your memories or whatever. So it's 2018.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That makes sense because it's one of the Vault Talk. And when you talk about Bob, you're talking about Bob McCutcheon from recording.
So I started recording that first Borstal Boys album, which was going to be a solo album. Actually, I was going to just do my own solo album. And I started bringing in people to play on it. And there's actually a bunch of people that play on that as well. And during that, Hermie Granati did the piano and the keys for us. So I was looking for a keyboard player, and he's the one who hooked me and the rest of the guys up with Joe Pileski, because Joe was looking for a band as well. So that's kind of how that started. It was kind of a solo album, brought guys in. So Joe Pileski came in, and I heard Mark sing before, and I really liked his voice. So I just called him up, and a band started out of that first recording. So I guess that would be 2017, and I think we released that beginning of 2018.
And Mark is infamous for his chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
I think everybody comes to see us so they can get Mark's chocolate chip cookies.
They are delicious. But you also do producing, Rocky. I mean, you're not like a one-stop shop there. I mean, you're doing a lot of other stuff as well.
I mean, that's one of the things I really love to do is produce.
Yeah.
You know? So, I started that, and that's how Bob actually was. I went in to do a recording with Bob, and it was Terry Thomas. It was a recording, and Terry Thomas grew up with Bob, so they were doing a recording together. And I came in, and I started kind of producing the song as we were recording it. And Bob really liked the way how I guess took over something like that and made it into something. You know, it was already a tune, but like the way I approached, hey, maybe we should go to this part or whatever, and the way we were layering things on the recording, he just liked working with me. So it turned into a thing where it went for a long time till COVID we would just get together once a week, me and Bob. Every Tuesday night, it was our night. We'd go down, hang out, and talk. First hour of it every night was just us talking, you know, and so that's how it all started with Bob. And I wouldn't be doing half the things I'm doing without Bob, to tell you the truth. So, I mean, I'm blessed to have run into him and became friends with Bob for sure, because it's really enabled me to do the things that I want to do in music and things like that. So doing this song, producing this series, it's all because of the relationship with him and the people that we have together over there. And you ladies are a part of that as well. You know what I mean? We went down and sat in your office and you taught us how to use cell phones. You remember that?
Courtney did. She did the training. Yeah.
We have assigned Borstal Boys that album.
Yeah, the album.
Yeah, we're proud owners.
Yeah, we absolutely are. Let me ask this question. Talk to me about rock and roll as a state right now, not only in Pittsburgh, but I would say in the US. We just got through the Grammys, and which I liked because a lot of the people that I like listening to were on there, and I loved the way that it was produced as well. But the one thing is that we didn't get to see any what I would say traditional rock and roll. What do you think, or what do you think is the reasoning for that?
That's a loaded question because I don't want to get in trouble with my answer, but I will tell you that you've seen one of the best rock and roll performances on that show, which was Bruno Mars, and I don't know the other guy's name, the drummer, who was amazing. I couldn't take my eyes off him the whole time they were doing it. Yeah. So they were doing a Little Richard tribute, I guess, and it was amazing. And I'd love to see I love Bruno Mars, and then I bought his albums, and it's more pop. And I really liked his he has a Motown soul thing going on that I really dig. And as well, I'd like to see them drop that pop actually and do that rock and roll thing, because to me, I think it's the foundation for what everybody's doing, the rock and roll stuff. And I don't know why you don't see it much on the Grammys. I guess the same reason as you don't see many rock and roll bands in general. You got genres of music that's metal, pop, it's this. Rock and roll seems to be, like the Black Crowes. There are rock and roll bands out there. I'm not going to say that there aren't rock and roll bands out there, but it's not as prevalent, I guess, in the music industry in general. And I guess part of that is because we have people doing pole dancing on the Grammys while other bands aren't invited to the Grammys. And that's as far as I'll go with that one. But you know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard.
I think it might have been Anderson .Paak that played.
Yes.
It was interesting. I was thinking about it because I love Eddie Van Halen, and I was really surprised that they couldn't find one guitarist to play that piece, and even a female guitarist, I'll say maybe a Wilson sister, could have pulled that off. And I was thinking about that because I was like, wow. And even the jazz greats, and it felt like there was some missed opportunities. But I think Adam Levine shares your sentiments about their with rock bands.
There's no. I even put that question out there. My dog's starting to bark, but I even put that question out there because. Can I let him out the door real fast?
Yeah. Yes, we'll do a station identification break here.
Sponsored by.
Yeah, the Vault Recording.
The Vault Recording.
Yeah.
That was just the beginning of it, because if I let that go a couple more minutes, he would have just been nonstop jumping on me. But so I mean, the rock and roll thing is like I said, I don't know why, because I think a lot of people are into rock and roll. I just don't think the masses, I don't think it's the thing with the masses of people. And I think that in the music industry, as well as anything, they go with what they can sell the most of. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's why they've gone away from the straight rock and roll and things like that. So, I mean, I guess that's my answer there. I wish it was more prevalent. I wish there was more people doing it. And like I said, I mean, even like Bruno Mars, which I think he's a fantastic musician, plays all kinds of instruments, and he's done the soul thing before, the R&B thing before, and he's great at everything he does. But you could just see those guys up on that stage doing that Little Richard tune, and it's like, why aren't you guys doing this? You know, why aren't you putting out songs just like this? 3-4 chords, rock and roll numbers, you know what I mean? Instead of the pop stuff. I mean, but I understand they do the pop stuff, I think, is because it sells.
I like it. I like all the stuff. I'm a huge Bruno Mars fan. Anything he does, I will listen to. I would cross many rivers to see him perform. I think he's excellent.
Yeah, I love him. Like I said, I mean, goes back even before he did the Super Bowl show. I really dug his tunes. I went and I got the album. There's like 3-4 tunes on there I really dig, and then there's some pop stuff on it. And then the next one, I think it was called Gold. Was it Gold or something like that? And it was just all pop. And I was just like, because I kept trying to put it back in, and it just never made it. Like it kept going like song 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 10. Okay, next CD. You know, but I think he's done amazing performances. And there was some other, the beginning of the Grammys. There was a little bit. They had bands playing there for a while, and I really dug that.
Yeah.
I'm just not into the spectacle, how they make some of that stuff on the Grammys, you know.
Right.
But I mean, I think it goes to show. I mean, you talk about rock and roll, and they don't show the passing of famous rock and roll people. It's like real fast, real clips, and then it's something else, and then all of a sudden you get a nice big highlight on it or whatever, you know. So I don't know. I just think it's because of what people like, what the masses like, rather than. I don't think it has anything to do with a band being good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I got into the conversation on Facebook about, you know, it was like a pole dancing thing, and people got on me like, you know, women are empowered. I'm like, I'm all for that. I mean, that's great. Just musically, I just think it's kind of, they turned it into a spectacle. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with the music almost. So how can you really fight that, I guess?
Yeah, it's production. I mean, the production value, I thought, of the whole show was great. And the Stallion, I think, is fantastic. I really do. I mean, I was surprised that Billie Eilish was like, you should have won this, but I understand, because when you watch somebody rise that way, there was so many people that we were seeing on the circuit the year before, like Doja Cat. I was really surprised that she was nominated for a Grammy. But a lot of people, just like you, were working during COVID. You saw a lot of artists double down on their music and start really releasing stuff, where you saw other artists pull totally away. Yep. There's other artists pulling out. Courtney's favorite, Taylor Swift, you know. But I love her, so I totally understand it. But it was really interesting. I just thought it was really kind of incredible. Music saved a lot of people.
Yeah.
COVID. Who were you listening to? Who are you listening to?
Me?
Yeah.
What do you mean, like over the last year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What music are you listening to? What do you normally listen to?
Not many. I listen to what I know and I like. I know very little about new bands. Playlist. You got the thing is playlists now, and I never listened to a playlist in my life. Mm-hmm. So a playlist is me like going on and hitting shuffle on my iTunes.
Yeah,
that's a good playlist.
It's a playlist for me, yeah. And my selection of music on my iMusic is pretty much everything from the past. You know, very few little new things or whatever, but. I mean, I'll download some stuff here or there, but I mean, I'm still listening to the Stones, the Beatles, all the old rock and roll stuff, New York Dolls. That's what I was saying. The guy from New York Dolls died, and they gave him like 1 second little clip, but it was still cool to see it for a second up there. But I mean, that's rock and roll. I mean, New York rock and roll, 70s. It's just. Why it isn't, that should have been like a 10-minute section on that, but you know, it wasn't. So about playing, you said about playing out and things like that. It was kind of strange because even if you were playing out, you kind of had to be like, not really try to push it, because people would immediately get on you for going out and playing. So it was one of those things you got to watch anything anymore about anything you say or whatever like that. But playing out, making sure you have a mask on and things like that, because people will just kill you in social media. And, you know, like, what are you doing? Oh, you're spreading disease going out playing a show, you know. So you really got to watch for that, you know. I mean, so that was a tough thing, because there definitely are camps of people and they're all your friends or whatever, but then all of a sudden it's just like, hey, I can't believe you're doing this. And the other people are like, come on, let's do this right now. So it's like, you just kind of watch and you kind of have to just play cool and just do it, but just be quiet about it almost, was in the terms of playing out is how we kind of went about it,
Well, I think that's smart, because in a lot of ways, again, music was extremely important, and with all the venues shutting down, I think it was really difficult. Have you heard anything about festivals for the summer or the fairs? The Big Butler Fair, which is my favorite fair ever.
I haven't heard about anything about the big festivals or anything like that, but I think the guys who have been doing, like my drummer, Matt Ferrante is our new drummer in the band as well. And he puts on a show every year. And last year was the 21st year or the 20th. And this year might be the 21st year. He puts on a show called Rock for Life, and he does it. They have a whole campground out there. So it's an outdoor thing. He puts bands on for 3 days. And all the money that he raises all goes to, he picks one kid every year who's either battling cancer or a certain disease or what's going on, and the money is to help the family, pay their bills and things like that. So it's a great cause, and he's been doing it for over 20 years, and that's going on this summer. And he does like 3 of those throughout the summer, Wow. So I know that one is, and I know there's other ones. Metal in the Mountains is going on, and I never was a festival guy, so I never went to a lot of festivals. But I think some of the smaller ones are going to be. I don't know about like the Butler County Fair or, all the fairs like that. I'm not really sure about that. I would assume they would be, but I don't know. There's a lot of work into that. And you're paying all those guys, those fairs, you're paying for all those booths. You collect that money, and you never know what happens. A month from now, there might be a surge, and then the governor says that we got to close everything down. So in terms of the people who actually put on those shows, you have to put money out and things like that. I don't know if they're going to be ready to do it. You know what I mean? Because it might just fall through and they're going to lose money. And I mean, that's what certain clubs are actually waiting for as well. I was talking with John Pergel, who owns the Thunderbird, and he also owns the Roxy Theater, his partner in the Roxy Theater. And he told me that he's not going to open until he can be at maximum capacity. So 50% ain't going to help, because once he opens, he's on a program now where I guess you don't have to pay your mortgage. So they they're forgiving people's mortgages or whatever for certain businesses and things like that. So as soon as you open up first, and you only have 50% capacity, bam, that kicks right back in. And the same thing with the concert promoters. They don't want to book things and then be out for all the money and things like that. So I think everybody's just waiting for that all to pass. But the problem with that is at any time next week, there could be a surge, and it's like 2 more months of you can't even have 50% in the club. So it's a real strange time of book. Yeah. So you could book small clubs because it doesn't matter. Okay, we can't do the show ever. It's not that big of a deal in the big term. But when you have a production company, you have guys out with tour buses and drivers and all that stuff, hotel rooms and all those things. You can't book that if there's like at any minute it could just be pulled out. So I think that's what the frustrating thing about everything is.
Speaking of venues, the Roxanne, we were doing Scouts, and that is incredible. He did so much work to that place. He just remodeled, I think, the Thunderbird as well.
Yeah, he spent a lot of money on the Thunderbird. If you haven't been in there since when you used to play there, you'd walk in and then you go up a little flight of steps, and there was a long, narrow place. Now you go in, you go to the right, and you go down, and it's a huge place. It's gigantic first floor, second floor, and there's actually a third little place up there with another bar up top. I mean, it's a gorgeous place. We played there when that finally opened. And that was the beginning of last year. He was out of business at the Thunderbird. Someone like that, it's crazy that he put all that money into the Thunderbird. He couldn't open that up for other reasons, like he was with the city and making sure everything was right for a long time. And then he finally got it right. And as soon as he opened up, we're talking 4 or 5 months later, right, in a place you put a lot of money into. I'm not saying a lot of money he put in the Thunderbird. And then they went over and opened up that same, or the Roxy, and over in McKees Rocks.
Yeah, that's an incredible venue. It really is. And what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite venue in Pittsburgh to play it?
I've never played the Roxy, but I'd love to play there.
Yeah.
But the Thunderbird is a fantastic room.
Mm-hmm.
It depends, you know. I like playing little bars. I like playing the Subalpine. I like playing down the Peppers and that. I like playing at Excuses. You get a certain vibe and a feeling. People are having fun. You know, it's you know, the bigger clubs are cool too, and it sounds better. You got a nicer sound system and things like that. But I really dig playing the smaller clubs as well. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's any in particular. I mean, the Rex was a nice place too. If I could play anywhere in the city of Pittsburgh on a constant thing, I'd probably say the Roxy, and just because it's a really nice place. You know, if I was looking for a place to actually put on a show that sounded great, looked great, nice room and things like that, I'd say the Roxy, or not the Thunderbird would be my place.
So the new stuff that you've just recorded with Bob at the Vault recording, how did you? So tell me, and Gallo is a precious gem of a man. He is. Smile wide, long, and a heart is bigger than Texas. I think he is quite incredible. But how did you guys get hooked up? And tell me about that music.
How I got hooked up with Gallo? Bob actually did a thing over at the Vault, which was a producer songwriter night, and he invited other people who owned other studios and stuff like that. So I heard Gallo's story. He told me what he did, and he was writing at that time, and I think he still does it. I don't know as much for the basketball now, but every night when the basketball games were over, he would write a song and put words to it. So it had to be in late that night. So in the morning when they showed it, I don't know if it was ESPN or the NBA Network or whatever it was, they would play his tune with the highlights. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, I said, come on, man. You're telling me that you write the music and the words that night. I understand the words. I'm like, but you don't put music together and have like 15 or 20 in a queue somewhere and you just pull one down and then put words to it. He's like, no, I do it all on the feeling of the game, how the game goes and stuff. I'm like, well, I thought that was amazing. Like, you have to be amazingly talented to just sit down because when I write a song, I'll write a song and it's just one little piece of it. And then like a week later, I'll go back to it, you know, and this was kind of cool. And then the guys at rehearsal, I'll be like, play this one groove for me real fast. And I'll record like a minute. And then I'll bring that minute home and I'll write a verse or a chorus over it, you know? And so it's a process, not like 4 hours. I'm going to write the music and the words for something. So I thought I said, you have to be incredibly talented to do that. And I've been watching what he does and things, and he's an incredibly talented guy. And he deserves all the good that's coming to him, because he's been writing for shows, I guess, and commercials. So what would you call that when you sell your stuff to
songwriter?
What's that?
He said songwriter?
Oh, yeah. No, but they call it something. You put it on a platform and companies that take your stuff, you know what I mean? But that's like another thing where a lot of people make money doing that as musicians. And he's been getting a lot of work that way, and I'm really happy for him, because he's an incredible, hardworking guy. So, and hopefully this tune that we released will go over big, because it's a nice collaboration that we've talked before about, is trying to include other people and other genres of music into working with each other. And that's kind of why we did it. You know, me and Bob sat there, and I was like, Gallo's a good dude. I was like, maybe we should put a rap over one of these tunes someday or whatever. So Walking Away seemed to be a funky groove, and Bob was all for it, and we brought him in, and he did a great job.
That's amazing.
Wait to hear it.
So when does
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Bob has it.
Yeah. Call him now. When does that release, Rocky?
So it's all mixed and it's mastered. We've been using a place in New York to do the mastering now that Bob knows, through Rob Diener, who's also works over at the Vault. And so it's his guy from New York. It's mastered already. And I'm waiting to hear from Bob. He tells me 8 weeks, because the publicist that we have to go through, whatever like that. So it's going to be 8 weeks. I'm not really sure the release date yet, but I know it's coming out. So we're not doing a video for it. So I'm not really concerned about the exact date. Yeah. Most of the other songs that we did, I've always done a video for them. So I'm always worried about when's this video going to be done? When's this video going to be done? Yeah. So now it's just going to be a song, you know?
So, and let me ask this, this will be my last major question. The SOS concert series that you're doing, but it's in conversation. Where can people find that, and when is all of that rolling out?
You know what? They can find it on the SOS. It's been a while since I've said this for the song. What is it? SOSPGH.org. Is that what it is? No, SOS2020PGH.org /concerts.
Okay.
So again, that's www.SOS2020PGH.org /concerts.
Okay.
We'll put that on. We'll link it to.
Put that in the description.
Yeah.
And then there's a link there where you can buy. And the cool thing about the series is anybody who bought the first series, the first season of the series, will have access to the second season.
Oh, that's great.
We're sending them an email where they can just use a code to get the second season for free. And anybody who buys the second season will have access to the first season. So they'll be able to watch all the episodes from the first season and all the interviews and things like that. And on that page as well, it's kind of cool. We have over 70 videos from local bands and performers that are just scrolling. You can actually just put it on and watch bands' videos like for hours. So, and it has all the interviews as well and things like that from the first season.
That's so great what you're doing.
It is.
Talking about guys who, I find this really funny. Not funny, but it's crazy. There's the guy who's running who I got to run the jazz night. His name is John Shannon, and he owns a club called Con Alma in Shadyside, and it's a jazz club. And he's a jazz player. He's from Pittsburgh, moved away from Pittsburgh, lived in New York for a while, came back to Pittsburgh. Great guitar player. He works over at the Vault as well, doing projects, recording, playing guitar on. So I went over and I interviewed him, and we're talking, and I was like, yeah, he's opening another club. And I said the Strip District, but he says, no, it's the Cultural District. It's right across the street from from where they do the opera, I guess, or what would that building be called?
It's actually across the street from, it's the old Peter
and
the old Blagos. So that's, it's like real close to Heinz Hall.
Heinz Hall, yeah, okay. Yeah. So, and I was laughing. I'm like, dude, who in their right mind opens a new bar during COVID restrictions? Like, you have to have some serious, I can't even say it on here. I mean, there's like, you have to have them to like do something like that. Who does that during this time? I mean,
I am so excited. So I am so excited that he's doing this because one, I want to meet him. I think it's incredible. Two, if we can get Eda Cox to have an Eda Cox night, so I can just watch her sing. I love her so much. She's one of the best jazz performer. Her and Al Dowlings used to have Dowlings on Ninth, and I miss her voice, and I miss really great jazz. And I was really excited because, you know, Byron Stripling, the new pops conductor for the PSO, he's a virtuosic trumpeter, and he is jazz. Like he's so good. So I'm hoping that we can get Byron over there, somehow get Eda Cox over there, and then I get the table right in front. Like that's my dream.
That would be good. You know, you can go straight over to Con Alma. I was over there the other day. It's a little place, but all the good jazz guys in Pittsburgh play there on a regular basis.
Yeah, they're there. I think Jeff Grubbs was playing there last week. He's an incredible bassist. It would be unbelievable to
listen to this lineup for the jazz night. I have it in front of me. It's pretty cool. The first person I called for jazz night is my old teacher. I went to Kappa, and Roger Humphrey Sr. was my teacher. So I called him up, and he was the first one that jumped on. So I called him, and then I called, who was the other guy I called? Kenny Blake. I knew Kenny Blake well, so I called him. And then also Steve Delich is who went to Kappa with me, so he went on. But then I got the guy John Shannon from Con Alma put together the night because I just wanted to get those guys, and then I was turned on to John Shannon. And he deals with all the jazz guys on a regular basis. So he put Fred Pugh, Lisa Bleal, Kenny Blake, Scott Boney, Tony Campbell, Hill Jordan, Leon Boykins, Dwayne Dolphin, Howie Alexander, Max Leak, John Shannon, David Throckmorton, James Johnson III, and of course Roger Humphreys. So I'm really excited about the next season because it's kind of cool because they're going to do, instead of 3 bands, it's just they're going to be up there jamming, and then a couple guys might switch over and stuff like that. And the same with the blues night. It's going to be a house band, and we're featuring like 10 different singers.
Oh, cool.
So we got the blues, so it'll be a house band, and maybe we'll add a guitar player here or there or whatever. But it's that night's going to be more for the singers. So it's going to be, they'll all back the singers up, and there's going to be a list of tunes that they'll just play. So it won't be set for bands. It's almost like a community thing, you know. It's just like a jam session almost of local guys.
I love that. So, well, maybe Courtney can get her singing on at the blues.
All right.
I don't know if you can afford me or no. I'm joking. You don't. You would pay me not to perform. No.
No one gets paid anyhow for this.
No, it's incredible what you're doing. So thank you.
There's a lot of people involved too. I mean, you guys have helped us out with the promotion a lot. Flying Scooter, Bob McCutcheon at the Vault, In Stuff Music, Alexis Art and Design. She's put all the artwork together for the song, for all the videos that we do, the interviews and stuff like that. So she's done an incredible job. I hope I'm not missing anybody. The guys over at In Stuff Music, Chris did the sound for it, and Justin, they were great over there as well. So I'm looking forward to another season of that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for hanging with us tonight too. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah,
we could do this all the time.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, seriously. Well, you do need your own radio show, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing in the works. We still got to talk about that.
I know.
Someday. I've been making a lot of steps toward that.
Good.
So we'll see.
Good. I think it would be fantastic.
It might happen.
It will happen. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Rocky.
Thanks, ladies. Have a great night.
Thank you.
You too. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.